Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia and I'm here to give you the tools, tips, and tricks for your writing, blogging, and productivity needs. So for today's video, I just want to hop right into it. I am teaching you how to use a habit tracker and how to form habits, maintain them. I wanted to give you my tips on it first. Sorry if I sway a lot. I decided that I wanted to stand for this video because I sit all the time, so apologies if I start swaying. But yeah, I wanted to give you some tips first on how to maintain your habits and then like how to form them, and then I wanted to just show you how I make my habit trackers and how I use them. I make a couple different ones every now and again. I usually do about one a month. Sometimes a little bit more. I think this next one I want to use for 40 days, so I'm going to be making it out for 40 days. I already tried the habit yesterday and I didn't do very well, so we're gonna try again today. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and begin. So for my first tip when it comes to starting a productive habit tracker is to pick only 1 to 3 habits that you want to implement into your new habits. Yeah. I see a lot of people try to change up their entire lives. This happens mostly around New Year's when everybody's like, oh my god, it's a fresh start. But yeah, whenever people try to implement habits in their lives, they tend to pick too many. I am one of those people. I love just redoing my entire lifestyle and just completely trying, but those always end up failing. Every time I try to come up with a totally new morning routine or day routine or a totally new lifestyle, I always end up failing because I pick too many things to focus on instead of just focusing on one problem area at a time. Now, personally, I like doing things in batch, in bulk, so I will pick some, usually around 3 to 4 habits, which you'll see in this video, instead of picking just one. But for some people, it's better to pick just one habit to focus on when you're habit tracking until it becomes a habit and then move on to the next one. So for me, I think the biggest habit I want to form at the moment is writing 2,000 words a day. And I specifically mean that in my creative writing, but I don't necessarily count blogging and business writing as part of that 2,000 words, but creative writing anyway. That habit, personally, I tend to not do it every day, but it's still a habit. It's still something I do multiple times a week, but I would like to do it every day. But adding other habits could inhibit my ability to do that habit well, to form a habit of writing, because I'm focusing on too many things at once. So I'll let you know how that works, but again, picking 1 to 3 is probably a great place to go because then you're not dividing your attention up too much. Again, if you already have a habit that's somewhat formed, maybe you could go for 2 or 3, maybe you can go for 4 because you're not creating anything new, but that kind of depends on you as a person. You really need to gauge what your ability is, but I think the 1 to 3 is probably the best range when it comes to picking a new habit and trying to implement it into your life. Another thing that you need to do when you form habits is use measurable tactics. So by measurable tactics, I mean that your goals should be measurable. Here's an example. My 2,000 words a day. That's measurable. I can definitely write down, I wrote 1,800 words today, or I wrote 2,300 words today. 2,000 is my goal, and I can measure that success, which is really, really important. If I were doing this habit, which I will be, if I hit 1,600 words, I have to write that down as a partial accomplishment because I didn't actually reach 2,000. Another way to do this is with time. I want to start exercising for 45 minutes every day at least, and if I don't reach that 45-minute mark, it doesn't go down as an accomplished habit, but it's measurable. So if I do about 30 minutes, I can write it down as if I did part of it, but I didn't actually fulfill it, and if I don't do any, of course, I can write that down. Another really good tip is to utilize notes when you are habit tracking. So I always include a note section to the side of my habit trackers, mostly because I like to write down what I did accomplish and what I didn't. It kind of depends on the day. Sometimes I just write down the date, that way I know which day it was. Maybe I can track my mood swings and other things to see what correlates. But a lot of the times I'll say, oh, I did 30 minutes of exercise today, not 45, just I'll write down the word 30. That way I can see what was achievable and what was not. It's also a really good way to kind of sum up your mood or explain what was going on, and it's a really great way to kind of go back and then revisit that day as far as how you viewed your habits, how that was, and you can like assess yourself and your thoughts on that particular day. You can also check patterns, which again is like the biggest part of habit tracking, is assessing your patterns. And I find that it's really useful just to go back and read those notes so I can figure out what day it was, figure out what was going on, and see if there's any correlation between achieving a certain goal and not achieving a certain goal. I just think that's really helpful. Reflection is super important when it comes to habit tracking, so having that ability to look back at your notes is amazing when it comes to reflection, because without reflection you can't move forward. Another tip I have for habit tracking is to color code it. This is more of a visual like appeal, I guess. It's not super important. However, I think that color coding your tracking stuff, color coding your activities and your accomplished versus not accomplished items really helps to kind of view it in an easier, more pleasant manner. Some people don't like a lot of color coding, and that's fine. You can definitely make a habit tracker without it. I just think it's more helpful, and it's easier to look at like a color-coded map to find patterns than to like have to go through and read everything. That's just personal opinion. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and cut towards the video of me forming a habit tracker. It's a super simple one. I hope that it's something that you could follow along with. So yeah, if you're ready to see that, just wait a few seconds, I guess. Alright, so to begin my habit tracker, the first thing I wanted to do was to write the words habit tracker on top of the page, mostly just because I really enjoy titles and I like to know what I'm looking at, I guess. So the next thing that I'm doing is I am writing down the activities that I want to form. So I wrote down the word habits, and then following that I'm going to write down like reading, writing, exercising, and learning, because those are the things that I want to implement. And I got ink on my hands, so that was also not very fun. And then I found out that the ink got on the paper and it made a mess. I also utilize different colors for each habit because I really like color coding my things. So the colors that I'm using are red, green, purple, and then I just use black again. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I could do that. Oh, and then I cleaned my hands, and so now they are not going to leave fingerprints everywhere. The next thing that I'm doing is I'm making a table to color code when I do habits. So I have the words done, missed, and partial, and I will color code those because I want to make sure that I can fill in the boxes when I actually make my tracker based on like if I did the work or not. So there's that, there's the colors, yay. And so now I'm just separating my table basically at the top from what will actually be my habit tracker. And then I made a flower because I didn't like that fingerprint, so I put a flower there instead. Yep, that's me hiding my insecurities. And here I'm just writing one letter because I realized for my table I don't want to write the whole word, so I want to write a letter that represents each habit. And I put it in their respective colors as well. So now I'm setting up my habit tracker, and I put days on the far left because I want to track the days that I'm doing it. And then I'm going to add a section for reading, writing, exercising, and learning. And so I'm just gonna fill out like lines to make sections with my ruler. It's not the best, like most straightest, most organized lines. I didn't really measure, I just kind of did what my heart desired, but it works for me and that's all I can ask for. So now now I'm just using each respective color to put those R, W, E, and L in. And then I'm writing a little section for notes because, as I mentioned earlier, I really value taking notes for your habit trackers. And now I'm just going to fill in the days. And then I wanted to extend this to 40 days, so that's why I am also creating the same pattern pretty much on the other side, and I will fill out the table at the top. Again, just because I want to continue this habit for quite some time, and so I needed a lot of boxes in order to fill those out. Alright, so this is what the habit tracker looks like before I start filling it out, and at the moment, I'm looking at it trying to wonder what I'm going to do. So I started to fill out the aspects of it that I did yesterday. So as in like the day before making this tracker, just because I wanted to see what it looked like filled out anyway. So I just kind of copied down like that I did writing, I partially read, and I missed exercise and learning, which sucks. But again, this is just so I can see what the colors look like when I start filling out the tracker. At the point of me filming this video, I've already filmed like a couple days of it and it's starting to look pretty good, so I just wanted to see at the time of filming if the colors worked out for me, and they did. And then I'm just putting a note with the date that I started. That way I can keep track of what day is what. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to continue filling out the table by adding measurable goals. It's something that I don't really need to do because I already know what my goals are, but just because I'm like that, I went ahead and wrote down my measurable goals for each day. And so that's it. That's pretty much my habit tracker. Alright, well, thank you for watching today's video. If you like this, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see if you want to see more habit tracking videos in the future. I'm going to try to do more that are less habit, like generic habit tracking, and more like productive and like blogging and all kinds of stuff like that. So that way we can help track our progress as we learn and grow together. So yeah, anyway, thank you, and that's it for this video.